Sample Lesson 5, Teaching Verbs that take both infinitive and ing forms using concordance data. So, one persistent headache for us non-native speakers of English is knowing which verbs in English are followed by an infinitive or the ing form, also known as gerund. The problem is complicated by the fact that there are a number of verbs that can take both forms but have difference in meaning. In this lesson, we will use concordance data that will guide us towards discovering these differences. So first, let us know what is infinitive. So we all know that the form of infinitive is to plus verb. Infinitive, it is the basic form of verb. It behaves like a verb because it begins with to, but it behaves as a noun, subject, direct object, predicate, nominative, adjective, or adverb. Examples: I like to write in English. Another example: to swim in that sea is dangerous. So we all know that an infinitive usually begins with the word to, and it is followed by the base form of a verb. In this sentence, I like to write in English, our base verb is the word write, and our infinitive is to write. So, other examples of infinitive includes to read, to run, to jump, to play, to sing, to laugh, or to eat, and to go. So these are some examples of infinitive. She came to collect her paycheck. Our infinitive is to collect. The three bears went to find firewood. I am calling to ask you about that. Your sister has gone to finish her homework. To be or not to be, that is the question. To know her is to love her. To visit the Grand Canyon is my lifelong dream. To understand statistics, that is our aim. So we can see here different kinds of infinitive. So we have to collect, to find, to ask, to finish, to be, to know, to visit, to understand. So we must always remember that infinitive starts with the word to. Next one we have gerund. So what is gerund? So I know that you are very familiar with this term. So I have here this one, ing. So let's know more about gerund. Gerund, it is a verb that acts like a noun in a sentence. The subject in which the names are used in the sentence is used in the case of the object. The gerund is obtained by adding ing to a verb base. So, although the term might sound foreign, I know that you are very familiar with this one. The gerund is a common part of speech that most of us use every day. So, gerunds are words that are formed with verbs but acts like a noun. So, they are very easy to spot because we can see them with this ing tacked to its tail. So, for example, swimming is my favorite sport. The word swimming is a gerund because it has ing on its tail. Other example is I like writing in English. So, the word writing is a gerund. So here are the other examples of gerund. Jean admitted stealing the necklace. So we have stealing. We enjoyed seeing each other after a long time. Third, don't risk attempting that move until you are fit. Fourth, I have considered buying that phone. Next, Michelle reported seeing the culprits. Next, Sean gave up smoking a few years ago. Marshall insisted on taking the bus instead of the train. Lastly, walking is a habit you should develop from the beginning. So these are just some examples, and we can see here that words like stealing, seeing, attempting, buying, seeing, smoking, taking, and walking are all gerunds because they have what? Yes, they have ing on their tails or at the end of the words. So, when to use a gerund? Number one, gerunds as objects of preposition. For example, by reading, we can explore new worlds. So, we have reading as our gerund. Next one, it can also be used as the subject of the sentence. Swimming laps is the most relaxing activity in the world. Third, as direct object in the sentence. My friends anticipated or trying on new shoes. And lastly, it can also be used as subject complement. The group's main goal is eliminating poverty. So we have here eliminating as our gerund. So I hope that you distinguish the difference between gerund and infinitive. So to know more the difference between infinitive and gerund. So infinitive are formed with the word to in the front of a verb. For example, he likes to dance. While gerund, a word formed from a verb acting as a noun and ending in ing is a gerund. For example, he likes dancing. So infinitive to dance, gerund dancing. Next, we have concordance data. Since our topic is about teaching verbs that take both infinitive and ing forms using concordance data, we will try to understand the term concordance data. So concordance, text analysis, and concordance software is for anyone who needs to study text closely or analyze language in depth. This is an example of concordance data. So, concordance data is an alphabetical index of the principal words in a book or the works of an author with their intermediate context. So, as we can see here, this is an example of concordance data. So, with concordance, you can make indexes and word lists, count word frequencies, compare different usages of a word, analyze keywords, find phrases and idioms, and publish to the web. These are just some of the attributes of concordance. So we can also data mine and data clean up, language teach and learn in concordance data. Teaching verbs that take both infinitive and ing forms using concordance data. Okay, so as I've mentioned earlier, that whenever we use infinitive or ing form, there are differences in meaning. So now we will try to discuss this one. So we have here a concordance data entitled Remember. So you can pause this video presentation for you to read this concordance data. So, what do we need to remember whenever we use infinitive or we use gerund? So, in this concordance data entitled Remember, whenever we use infinitive, it is when you remember something that you need to do or our duty. So, for example, oh, I must remember to take that film out. Is that the finish of it total? So we can see here that the infinitive, the role of the infinitive here is that when we remember something that we need to do. Another example is that, so remember to feed fish. Remember to check on them from time to time. So, our duty to feed the fish. That is the infinitive remember. What about gerund in the concordance data of remember? It is when you remember something that has happened in the past. So, our memory of an event. For example, I remember seeing them dancing together at a ball shortly before the months top to tail if you own a poodle. So, another example. I remember going to a fruit and flower market in Leeds very early. So, whenever we use remember, it is when we remember something that has happened in the past. What about this one? This one is entitled Forget, a concordance data. So we can see here, forget. So, what do we need to remember? In using forget infinitive, it is when you want to do something but you forget about it. So, for example, those who forget to flush public toilets will be fined up to US dollars. So, forget is when we forget to do something. Another example, this one. Now eat up and don't forget to take your litter home with you. So we can see that the verb forget uses an infinitive here. And finally, we have here the concordance data step. So you can just pause the video again if you want to read the whole concordance data. So I will just point out the important reminder. So in here, the infinitive stop in order to do something. For example, the bus stopped to pick up a passenger off one of the first terrace streets. So we can see here that the bus stopped in order to do something, to pick up a passenger. Alright, another one. A chap stopped to say he was a member of the Ferrari Owners Club. So in here, a chap stopped. For what? Because for he needed to do something to say he was a member of a Ferrari Owners Club. So I hope that you understood the concept of this concordance data, that we can see the pattern of how we use the word stop as infinitive and stop as gerund. Stop as gerund. I finally stopped going to school when Charlie did and ever arranged for me. So stop here functions as not doing it anymore. So he stopped eating and reached across and took his wife's hand. So he did not do it again. He stopped eating. He did not eat again. So and reached across and took his wife's hand. So that is the role of the gerund. So we can see that there are differences in meaning. So in infinitive, stop in order to do something, while in gerund, not doing it anymore. That would be all. Thank you so much.
It's now time to bid goodbye temporarily, my dear classmates. Hope you have learned so much today. Thank you!